we got a very fun top five.
We do. Very excited. Kind of going back to our classic ones. Sometimes we get a little out there, talk about what animals we want to munch on. Sometimes we stick to the status quo, as we learned we have to do a few weeks ago. Um, and so this week we're talking about our top five character introductions. The scene
Mm,
where we found a titular or maybe a side character. They were introduced to us and we fucked with it. So yeah, that's
yeah.
pretty much all there is to it. I'll kick us off. I have a pretty cliche list. And so I'm going to go first so I can steal them all from Jared if he's got them. Number five, probably the most cliche on that list. A movie that when we started this podcast, we agreed to maybe never talk about live on air.
Oh my
And
god.
that's The Joker in The Dark Knight.
Oh, okay, okay.
Uh, how could I not? We're not going Pulp Fiction. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Um,
I was thinking exactly it was gonna be pumping. Okay, okay.
no, I thought about it, but I didn't.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's the Joker, Dark Knight. One of my favorite first scenes of any movie.
So
It's
good.
intense. You know the Joker's involved because of the obvious clown motif, but it's still surprising when he makes his first appearance. You see so much into his psyche and what's to come. I love
Yeah.
it. It's a classic for a reason, and it deserves to be at least noticed here.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I remember seeing it in the theater for the first time. It was packed to the brim. And when he makes
Mhm.
the pencil disappear, literally
Oof.
like 200 people went, ooh.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Yup.
My number five is the Forest Spirit from Princess Mononoke.
Ooh.
It's a
The
great
list of the episode?
combination. Yeah. It's eerie, it's dope, it's brilliant creature design, which, as I've said on this podcast before, I'm a total sucker for. To get
Mhm.
more thoughts from me about this particular character, see episode 3 of the Jared Cast.
Damn, that was episode 3?
Yeah,
Shit. We went back there. Damn.
yeah, yeah. I even had to check because I lost count of how many episodes we've done.
Cool.
What's your number four?
My number 4, the only foreign film to make my list, actually.
Mm,
Uh, I what I love about a good character introduction is if they can pack a lot of info in a short amount of time about this character and just set them up perfectly. I wanted part of me wanted to somehow fit all of the Tenenbaums and Royal Tenenbaums on this, but I felt like that was a bit iffy. But there's a movie that I think does that even better, and that's Amelie in Amelie.
so
It's
good.
you get the quirky style right off the bat. You find everything you need to know about her parents, and then they go into everything you know about her. You see her entire childhood growing up, and then you just get the shot of her little smile and her pixie cut. And it's great. I love it. You learn so much in such a short amount of time. It's effective storytelling, and it introduces you to the style of the film really well. And it's great, and I love it.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Iconic performance. Um, Mine is it's not just a character introduction; it opens up the movie. And
Mhm.
it's Nightcrawler in X2 X Men United. Um, we see Alan Cummings playing Kurt Wagner as he basically just eliminates all the Secret Service just to get to the president, and he does it with like relative ease. And it's still badass. The special effects still hold up, and I love it every time I see it. I remember watching it. I was like, "This is one of the good guys. What's happening right now?" Because I grew up reading X Men comics, and I was like, I had no idea what was happening. It was great.
Yeah, that's tight. Probably the most cliche on my list, coming at number 3. I said that about number 5, but now that I think about it, this beats it out even more.
Sure.
Um, Really digging deep for this indie gem, and that's Darth Vader in A New Hope. What do I need to say about it? It's
Right.
perfect. Like, it's literally perfect.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
cares?
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
like it's one of those images that's like instantly recognizable. Like you could
Yeah.
change every color, you could draw it
Mhm.
with crayon, and it would be like you could still like
Yeah,
automatically know what it is. It's
I know. And, like, Darth Vader, kinda tacky. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. Tacky as fuck. He's breathing like he's trying to do some ASMR type shit. The man's got a cape for no reason. Um, yeah. But because of that introduction alone and how intimidating it is, you
Mm,
buy into how fucking scary he is for the whole series. And I think it's brilliant.
yeah. His entrance actually in Rogue One narrowly missed my list.
Hmm.
It was gonna be my number 5, but I realized that's not the first time that you see him in that movie, so I
Yeah,
cut it. But
that's fair.
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. My number 3 is also a Disney IP. It's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Hell yeah.
Once again, shouting out this amazing
Yeah.
masterpiece that's better than The Lion King. Uh,
Eventually, we'll have an episode on it. Jared will just talk about it in small doses every once in a while.
yeah, it's like that one and Scott Pilgrim. Like we'll
Yep.
we'll never get to Scott Pilgrim at this point. Um, yeah, I love it. There's this great line in that scene when you first meet Stitch and you don't know if you can even talk or not, and he's licking the glass, and the leader of the
Mhm.
Galactic Empire asks him, he's like, "Is there anything in like some uh show us that you're capable of good. Tell us something and show us something that you're capable of good." And he says these infamous words, "Nuita na la cuista," and the the translation of which is "I want to destroy," which doesn't sound that bad to us, but in their language, it's like so bad that it makes a robot vomit.
I
Which,
forgot about that.
yeah,
Which biologically,
no.
no.
Yeah. But what I love about that is that it really shows you just how far Stitch has to go. Like he's at this point where he literally only cares about destruction, and so the whole entire move, it immediately sets the tone for the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got another indie gem coming
Mm.
up. Real deep cut. I almost didn't include this because I didn't want it to be like over the audience's head. I didn't want it to be like too out there. But
Sure.
I kept it anyway because I really love it. And that's the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. Uh, stay tuned in a few weeks when we release our episode on Jurassic Park. Um, it's great. It's another one where it's such a slow build. You're disappointed when you don't see him the first time, and everything builds up to it, and it pays off. Like it earns itself,
Yeah.
and it's great. It's so good. I love
Yeah.
it.
I'm really happy you didn't go down that rabbit hole that every YouTube critic says, like, because you see it practical for the first time, you automatically
Yeah.
buy into the CGI.
No, it's cool that the water has ripples when it steps.
Yeah, I'm really proud of us for that episode because I feel like we talked about a lot of stuff that like film critics don't really talk about when they
Yeah.
inevitably bring up Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
So
'Cause we're
yeah.
like, "It's fucking fun. Movies are fun."
Yeah, yeah. Great pick, Jared. Great pick.
Thank you. Thank you.
My number 2 is my only curveball on this list. Have you seen the movie Game Night?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually love that movie. It has
it's
no reason being as good as it is.
yeah, like you go in and you're like expecting a stereotypical American comedy with like
Yeah.
where you can clearly see that they improvised that take and they thought it was funny on set, but it's not really that funny in the theater.
Mhm.
And but like no, they actually made a film. They actually made
Yeah.
like a fully developed and shot and edited film. And I love, love, love when they first introduced Gary, the creepy cop neighbor. It's I'm not gonna give anything away for the audience, but it's one of the most quotable scenes. Jesse
Yep.
Plemons is perfect. He's
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. Like I can't even. It's
Jesse Plemons, who just shows up in everything.
yeah,
He's
he's
just
great,
always around.
and he's great every time. It's great every time.
Yeah. Yup.
Um, yeah, that's to me one of not just one of my favorite character introductions. It's one of the funniest scenes in comedy history. Um, and I love it every time. I've seen it 4 times now. I love it.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that. That's a great movie. Underrated.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the closest an American director has gotten to like Edgar Wright.
Mhm.
It's very Edgar Wrightian, but it doesn't feel derivative. Like it still feels
Yeah.
like its own. Good shit. Love it. My number one, another real deep cut, because I'm breaking some new ground here on this episode. Um, Tarantino. Any guesses? It's not Pulp Fiction.
Is
Which
it the
other one could it be?
it's either Hans Landa or the Bear Jew.
It's Hans Landa.
Hey!
Woo! Podcast over. We're retiring. Um, yeah, no. Inglorious Bastards, Hans Landa. One of my favorite villains in cinema.
Truly.
Just pure evil. It's comical in a dark way. He absolutely kills the character. You're afraid of the man from the get-go.
Mhm.
Such amazing suspense, and it's my number one. I love it.
I agree. I finally showed the movie to my parents, or my brother finally showed the movie to my parents like last week, and
Mhm.
it's so good. Holds up still.
Yeah, yeah. You
Um,
know, Adam Sandler was supposed to play the bear too, right? Originally.
no, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that was his casting that he wanted, but it got changed, which not sure how I feel. Now that I've seen, like, Uncut Gems and him branch out a bit more, um, I'm kinda more into it, but, like, when the movie came out, I hated the idea of it.
Right, yeah, and also just because Eli Roth is just really like perfect in it. Like he
Yeah,
absolutely owns it. Um,
yeah.
I think literally my only problem with it was uh, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. When Hugo dies, the guy
Mhm.
who kills the Nazi, like it's so like he's my favorite character in the Bastards, and his death is so sudden. But
Yeah,
um, that's my only thing. I wish
I
they
know.
kind of flash back once more, but it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Spoiler alert off, I guess. I'll put a little graphic in the record. Oh, I put a little graphic in the recording
Yeah,
later on. My
cool.
number one is also a bit of a is not a super cliche, but it's not a deep cut either. It's Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, there are better jump scares in the movie. There are better Leatherface moments in the movie, but I can never get it out of my head when he kills that first guy. He just hits his head with a hammer, and it's just one hit. It's just one hit, and the guy's done. He drags his body off to the side, and the sound of the metal door crashing closed
Yo.
is oh my god, dude. Like talk about like like classic. Like there's like they've tried so many times to replicate the vibe of that movie, to replicate like the sheer terror that you get from it, and and they still have not been able to reach that point, I think.
Mhm.
Um or the people who are in charge of the Texas Chainsaw franchise, like
Yeah,
it's so good.
yeah. Also, you may remember a cameo from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and our bad review of Willy Wonka last episode when they said that that was a more wholesome film than Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh yeah. Totally didn't even occur to me.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row we got Texas Chainsaw. Let's see if we can keep the streak alive.
I know. Same with Scott and Lilo and Stitch and
Yeah.
all the others.
Oh.
Yeah.